we were like them that dream. Then was our mouth filled with laughter, and our tongue with singing. Then said they among the heathen, The Lord hath done great things for them. The Lord hath done great things for us, whereof we are glad. Turn again our captivity, O Lord, as the streams in the south. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this one is forgiveness is the sure path to peace and healing. In 1 Samuel 24 through 26, look for lessons about pride, forgiveness, and self-control. And we could also read Elder Bragg's message, Christlike poise. We're going to learn how David, Abigail, and others demonstrate or fail to demonstrate Christ-like poise. What opportunities we have to show Christ-like poise.
David, who, and Abigail?
David and Abigail and others. Okay, ready?
Yep.
4. When Saul returned from following the Philistines, he was told, Behold, David is in the wilderness of En-Gedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and went to seek David and his men in front of the wild goats' rocks. And he came to the sheepfolds by the way, where there was a cave. And Saul went in to relieve himself. Now David and his men were sitting in the innermost parts of the cave. And the men of David said to him, Here is the day of which the Lord said to you, Behold, I will give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it shall seem good to you. Then David rose, and stealthily cut off a corner of Saul's robe. And afterward David's heart struck him, because he had cut off a corner of Saul's robe. He said to his men, The Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my Lord, the Lord's anointed, to put out my hand against him, seeing he is the Lord's anointed. So David persuaded his men with these words, and did not permit them to attack Saul. And Saul rose up, and left the cave, and went on his way. Afterward David also arose, and went out of the cave, and called after Saul, My lord the king. And when Saul looked behind him, David bowed with his face to the earth, and paid homage. And David said to Saul, Why do you listen to the words of men who say, Behold, David seeks your harm? Behold, this day your eyes have seen how the Lord gave you today into my hand in the cave. And some told me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will not put out my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. See, my father, see the corner of your robe in my hand. For by the fact that I cut off the corner of your robe and did not kill you, you may know and see that there is no wrong or treason in my hands. I have not sinned against you, though you hunt my life to take it. May the Lord judge between me and you. May the Lord avenge me against you. But my hand shall not be against you. As the proverb of the ancients says, Out of the wicked comes wickedness. But my hand shall not be against you. After whom has the king of Israel come out? After whom do you pursue? After a dead dog? After a flea? May the Lord therefore be judge, and give sentence between me and you, and see to it, and plead my case, and deliver me from your hand. As soon as David had finished speaking these words to Saul, Saul said, Is this your voice, my son David? And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. He said to David, You are more righteous than I, for you have repaid me good, whereas I have repaid you evil. And you have declared this day how you have dealt well with me, in that you did not kill me when the Lord put me into your hands. For if a man finds his enemy, will he let him go away safe? So may the Lord reward you with good for what you have done to me this day. And now, behold, I know that you shall surely be king, and that the king of Israel shall be established in your hand. Swear to me therefore by the Lord that you will not cut off my offspring after me, and that you will not destroy my name out of my father's house. And David swore this to Saul. Then Saul went home, but David and his men went up to the stronghold.
So the question that we're given here is, how did they demonstrate or fail to demonstrate Christ-like poise in these chapters?
Poise.
What does
You mean like retaining yourself? Like keeping yourself?
poise? Yeah, what does poise mean?
Oh.
I have no idea.
I forgot how many layers there were to this story, because when you think about it, all you ever really think of is David and Goliath, and then the
Bathsheba.
Bathsheba thing.
Yeah.
That's all you think about when you think of David.
But yeah, this is quite an epic
He's got a whole
story.
Well, I guess the cave scene was not just in the movie.
Yeah.
My magic was dogs.
Well, it is interesting that David was anointed the king when he was really young teenager, and he didn't become king right away. Saul continued on as king for years and years.
And yet he hunted him down and tried to kill him.
Yeah, he eventually got so threatened by him that he did decide he was his enemy. And what did David say? Why are you chasing me around? What did I do?
I'm your friend. Don't kill me.
I will not be afraid.
It's a shame because they were friends, and then.
Well, he found out that he got anointed.
Yeah, but they were friends, and it's sad. So.
Well, that happens when, again, you put your status above everything. I have a friend who their family are really into wrestling. Her brother was like a national champion in college.
Wow.
And they went back to near their hometown, and he got a job as an assistant wrestling coach for the head high school coach. The head high school coach had taken that team to state every year, and they won state frequently. But he'd been doing it for years, and he was retiring. And so her brother had developed all these friendships in this community. He coached club. Mm-hmm. He was really involved and really entrenched in this wrestling community. And then the head coach retired, and so he got the head coaching position. And the first year they went to state, but the second year they didn't. And one of the families that he was really close with had babysat their kids, had done all these things with them. They decided that their son's wrestling career was more important than this guy's wrestling coaching career. And they led a coup against him and got him kicked out from his position.
Oh.
And so when these status things start coming up, it really shows you what people's hearts are on. We could be hanging out all the time, but as soon as there's something that both of us want, it could really stretch your love. Show you how much love you actually have in your heart.
For this person?
For that person. So David did not kill Saul a couple of times where he was delivered into his hand. What was the reason he gave?
Because he was his friend. Because he was his friend. And the Lord.
He was the Lord's anointed.
He's the Lord's anointed. The one that God put in that position. So who actually is David deferring to in that moment? Is it King Saul?
No, he's deferring to the Lord.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can see where David's heart is.
He's respecting the Lord's decision.
Because he has a lot of reasons to kill Saul. I mean, Saul's trying to kill him. It would end that problem. Right?
It's a pretty present problem in David's life.
Yep. He also knows that he's been anointed to be the king. So he could become, all you have to do is kill Saul and he could become the king. Right?
Uh-huh.
I could be
Didn't,
the king.
Like, a couple days after Saul was anointed, he became king?
What?
I don't know how much time went by, but it wasn't long. Yeah, weeks, months. It wasn't very long. So the dictionary definition of poise that I think is interesting. So the one that I usually think of with poise is the bearing of your bodies, especially when graceful. So a ballerina's poise is they stand in a certain way. They have the way that they hold their body. They have a lot of poise. But the interesting definition that I'm looking at here is confident composure and self-possession. So if you're confident, a lot of people conflate confidence with arrogance. They think that if you're confident, then you're arrogant. And confident isn't a negative thing. In fact, we've just had conference talks about confidence. Be confident.
Confidence is very important.
What is confidence?
It's having a belief in yourself.
Yeah.
It's believing, right? That what you're going to do is right, and what you're doing is good.
And you can do it.
And that you can do it. Good.
You can't trap confidence. It's an idea. A belief.
So if you have confidence, then you have composure. What's composure?
It's just being able to, maintain yourself, not give up your dignity.
Good. Self-possession is another word. there.
Self-respect.
Self-respect and self-possession. You okay? Self-possession means that you have control over yourself, right?
Yep.
Self-control.
So now that we've defined poise, how did David have Christ-like poise?
He didn't kill the guy who was trying to kill him.
Oh, he didn't give in to what would be
Temptation.
he didn't give in to what would have, been the easiest route.
Yeah.
Right. And then he maintained poise when speaking with Saul, remains respectful.
Mm-hmm. Good. What about Abigail?
I might have slept through that part.
Dude.
I
I'm so sorry.
couldn't understand a single thing that was happening with
I know.
Abigail.
Well, she kept saying, "The Lord's gonna help my Lord, the Lord, my Lord." It was really hard to follow because she was being so respectful to David.
Is that his sister or his mother?
It's a random woman. Do you want? I'll sum it up.
Okay, thank you. I don't even remember her.
David. It sounds like so. David is hiding out in the mountains now because Saul's decided he has to die, and he is just running from Saul, and he finds different places, caves, and different places to live. He also has a following. He has people with him, and he comes across some sheep herders and finds out who their master is and sends some of his men into, his name's Nabal, and is basically asking if they could come hang out with them, rest, whatever. And Nabal says no. I'm not here to take care of you and your people, and kicks them out. So get out of here. So David says, arm yourselves, to his men. We're going to go kill every single male in that compound.
Oh gosh.
Abigail is the wife of Nabal. And so one of the young men goes and tells her, listen, David's people will hang out with us. They keep us safe. They're good guys. We don't want to have any problems with them. And I can guarantee you we will now that Nabal has done this thing. And so Abigail packs up hundreds of treats for the men, like all sorts of food and goodies on a bunch of donkeys. And she goes out to meet David and says, please don't take offense. We're really sorry. And with all of that, my lord stuff, she was referring to David in a very respectful manner. And she was basically showing her deference to him. And she was being very respectful to him. And saying, don't be mad at Nabal. He is an idiot, like his name says. I don't know what Nabal means, but she's like, he's his namesake for sure. But but it's my fault that I didn't know what was going on and I couldn't take care of it. So please take all of these gifts of food and please don't be offended. And please, she just smooths it all over. And she's very respectful and very humble through the whole thing. So David says, all right, we'll chill. And he says, a lot of what David says is, it's in the Lord's hands. We're going to let the Lord take care of it. We're not going to come out against people unless God tells us to. And if he doesn't tell us to, then he will take care of it. And so Nabal, she goes home. Nabal is passing out drunk because he's having a party like he's a king.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I'll just talk to him tomorrow. And when he wakes up in the morning and he's sober, she talks to him and tells him what happened. And he says his heart stops and turns to stone. And then a few days later, he dies. Says the Lord killed him.
Why?
Well, because apparently what he did was very bad. And so, it's bad enough that David was going to come and kill him. So I feel like there's some cultural context here that we are not used to. And I think that part of it is that when a sojourner needs taking care of, you usually welcome them in and take care of them. But Nabal went against his culture and said no.
But we're always told not to go with our culture.
Well, our culture isn't the chosen people culture full of the Mosaic law. Or run by the Mosaic law.
We don't have no mosaics.
Yep.
So then David finds out that Nabal is dead, and he says, God's will, blessed be God. Go get Abigail and tell her I'm going to marry her. And so his servants go tell Abigail, and she says, as you will. And then she comes and marries David. And then randomly we have a line in there that says, and then David also married this other girl. So now he has 2 wives because Saul gave Michal to another dude.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He married one of Saul's daughters.
Yeah. Saul gave her away to someone else. And so David is now married to Abigail, and this other woman, Ahinoam, I think was her name. So he has 2 wives.
Oh.
And then we heard, what was the next thing that we listened to? Oh, Saul gets told where David is hiding, so he comes out to kill him. And David sneaks in and steals some of the stuff near his head, and then goes back out. He won't kill him again. Says it's in the Lord's hands.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he says again to Saul, he shouts at him from the mountaintop, look, I took this stuff, I could have killed you again, but I won't kill the Lord's anointed. So we do see David most of the time having Christ-like poise. There was a moment where he's going to go slaughter everybody. But he says it was not the Lord's will because Abigail came out and stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
So he sees the hand of the Lord in that. Saul kind of fluctuates as well. There are moments where he is falling apart in a mess and doing things he shouldn't. And then there are times where he is humbled by David and he goes back to having that humility and that Christ-like poise.
The Saul we met in episode 1.
Yeah.
Come on, funny. Be a man. Not a man like you.
What is that from?
Tarzan.
Oh. Yeah.
So, what opportunities do you guys have to show Christ-like poise?
Yeah, lots of opportunities.
Lots of opportunities, yeah.
I'd say in pretty much every interaction.
Interactions with other people, yeah.
And even between God and yourself.
Okay, yeah.
Even when alone. It might be easy to use poise while alone.
Well, I think that you can't hide your true feelings from God. And so if you truly are feeling some discord in some way, you might as well bring that to him. So I wouldn't say try to appear on the outside. I think your poise, your outward poise, has to reflect an inward poise if you want it to be Christ-like.
It has to be true poise.
Yeah, because like a ballerina's poise, you can see. You can tell who's a ballerina by the way that they stand and the way that they walk. They have a certain poise. But do they have that kind of delicacy within? There's this really funny, I watched this channel that a ballet company hired a photographer just to be with them all the time and take videos and take pictures and put them online so they could have an online presence.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll do these beautiful photography sessions with these beautiful ballerinas who just do the most graceful things.
Mm-hmm.
And after they do the pose and they get the picture, they step down from their point shoes, and then they're all like the goofiest looking girls, and they're just super nerdy and super goofy. And it cracks me up every time to see that difference between the elegant, beautiful thing down to just kind of like their natural personality.
Are you saying that ballerinas are weirdos?
Yes.
They're not weirdos. But the ones that I'm talking about, there was just a really large contrast between that poise with their ballet persona and their natural kind of relaxed persona. When you're thinking about your personal poise, and your poise with God, I don't think you have to fake anything with God. I don't think that you have to pretend to be something that you're not. I think that you are all developing as human beings. You're developing into your confidence and your faith, and I mean everybody is on that path. And so I think that the person that you go to for as your guide and comforter and all that stuff, you treat them with respect, obviously. But also don't try to pretend that you're more poised than you actually are on the inside, right? You just go with a fully honest and open and humble heart. I do think that your interactions are where you can focus your poise.
You don't want any Pinocchio poise.
Well, we look at Abigail, and she was confident in her actions because she packed up a bunch of donkeys with food and brought them out to David. She took decisive action. She showed a lot of confidence and composure. But was she arrogant?
No.
She was humble. She didn't fall into hysterics. She had a lot of strength of self-possession. And she had a lot of confidence. Dignity. But she also was very humble.
Wasn't she like when it was like, hey, David wants to marry you? She goes, yeah, okay. Well, she was like, yeah, okay, I will. But like, very like, okay.
She humbly accepted.
Right? Yeah.
So, what kind of interactions do you guys have?
Lots.
Right. What's an example of a kind of interaction that you have? What's one we're having right now?
Family interaction.
Family interaction.
Yeah.
In our home, for sure. We are interacting in a educational setting. You guys interact with each other in a less formal setting, frequently. Should you be less self-possessed and have less poise when you're relaxing at home?
No.
You have the liberty to.
So our world tells us to do whatever you feel like doing, and you have no responsibility for other people. But I think in the practice of politeness and poise and humility and respect, it's how to interact with other people so that we could have good relationships, right? So you guys come across differences with each other frequently, don't you?
Yeah.
With each other and with your peers and with adults. What is the most derided generation of your guys' generation?
I would answer that question if I know what derided means.
Generation of our generation.
Which your generation is always rolling their eyes at which one of the generations?
Oldest.
What's it called?
Boomers.
Boomer.
Okay, boomer. Right? There is a lot of difference between different generations on how they do things, how they think about things, what they believe about everything. And you have to interact with those kind of people all the time.
Yeah.
And so these things that God gives us are not like restrictions. I think a lot of people are like, I don't want to be restricted from doing exactly how I feel. They're not restrictions. They are behaviors that help us maintain the love between us, really. And help us be able to have progress when we work together. Have positive interactions that progress toward a good end or a good path that doesn't end. And it takes two to tango, obviously, in order to work well together. But on your end, you can maintain Christ-like poise in all of these interactions, regardless of what other people are doing. So Saul was coming to kill David. David maintained his Christ-like poise in that situation. Saul responded differently than if David would have come at him, right?
Guns ablazing.
It diffused the entire situation. Not everybody's gonna do that. I mean, look at what Goliath was like. But I can tell you're going to have a lot more positive results when you maintain your Christ-like poise. So the title of this section is Forgiveness is the Sure Path to Peace and Healing. Also, we didn't read Elder Bragg's Christ-like poise message. That might have given us a little bit more of a clue about what we should be talking about. But I think we nailed it. I think we did a good job of describing it.
Nailed it. Okay, Boomer.
Do you guys feel like this is something that would benefit you in your lives?
What, spirit block?
No, Christ-like poise.
Oh, yeah.
I mean that too.
Yes.
Do you believe in it? Does it? I want you guys to gain confidence in how you do things. Not because you believe you're better than other people, but because you believe in the principle.
It's about the principle.
So David didn't kill Saul because he believed in the principle of respecting who God anoints as a king. When you have these opportunities to choose Christ-like poise, I think you'll have a better likelihood of choosing it if you believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
So ponder to yourselves, how important is it to me to have this Christ-like poise? If you want to have more understanding of it, do go read Elder Bragg's message or listen to it.
What's that called?
Christ-like poise.
Christ-like poise by Elder Bragg.
And then there is another talk, Beauty for Ashes, the Healing Path of Forgiveness. Now, we'll just mention forgiveness real quick.
Forgiveness.
David could really hate and resent Saul. He is making him live the life of a nomad in fear of his life.
But David, he's no mad guy. That's all.
He's nomad.
He's nomad.
Yeah, nailed it.
He's nomad guy, that's all.
Nailed it.
So, ponder what you're willing to forgive. We're told to forgive everything. But when you find yourself fixating on something that's upsetting you, realize that that's you not forgiving. When you're fixating on it and it's making you angry and you're feeling that anger and you're continually thinking about how someone did you wrong and how they're always doing you wrong, you're going down that path of resentment instead of the path of forgiveness.
I'm gonna lead you down the path that rocks.
If you want to have peace in your heart, and people are like, I don't need peace in my heart, I want to be mad, they deserve it. I testify that forgiveness is the healing power that you need in your life in order to feel the Spirit and be healed and move forward and experience joy in this life. You cannot have those positive emotions while you maintain a spirit of anger and hatred inside of you towards somebody, or resentment.
Right.
So take the time. Again, we're going to emphasize the need for time.
Takes time and effort.
Everything that matters takes time. Take the time. Take the time to read Christ-like poise. Take the time to ponder forgiveness. And you might not be able to remember who you need to forgive, but when you feel yourself kind of bogged down in that resentment, think about, let that trigger this thought in your mind. Let it go. And if you can't, pray about it. I could talk a lot more about forgiveness, but we're going to leave it there.
All right.
There's so much more to that. All right. Love you guys.
Love you too.